Welcome, dear listeners, to Tales from the Shadowed Vale, where the strange and sorrowful come to life. Tonight, we wander into a fog-choked town where crooked spires pierce the moonlit sky and secrets hum in the dark. This is the story of Theo, a poet with a heart too big for his frail frame, and Liora, a ballerina trapped in a music box, bound by a curse only love can break. But love in this town comes at a price. Settle in and let the shadows tell their tale.
C'était presque l'amour, mais pas tout à fait.
In a town forgotten by time, where the streets twist like broken promises, Theo lived in a crumbling attic, scribbling poetry by candlelight. He was a lanky young man, all elbows and knees, with eyes like moonless nights and hair that defied gravity. His only treasure was a silver locket, etched with his mother's initials, a keepsake he'd never part with. Or so he thought. Theo's heart belonged to Liora, a vision he'd seen only in moonlight. She was no ordinary girl, mind you. Liora was a porcelain ballerina trapped in a tarnished silver music box that sat in the shop of Grimwald, a man as grotesque as a gargoyle with a cold. His nose was a bulbous knot, his grin a jagged crack, and his fingers twitched like they were plotting their own escape. Grimwald had plans for the music box. He'd struck a deal to sell it to Lord Varnholt, a noble so cold his breath might frost glass. Varnholt's cape billowed like a storm cloud, and his ruby-tipped cane gleamed with a sinister glow. He wanted Liora's music box, not for love, but for power. For the box held a secret. Liora was bound by a curse, and only a vow of true love could free her. Without it, she'd dance forever, her porcelain heart breaking with every twirl. Theo first saw Liora through Grimwald's shop window, her delicate form spinning under a ghostly glow. Her raven hair floated as if underwater, her eyes pleading through invisible glass. Night after night, Theo returned, whispering poems to her. And one night, she whispered back, a faint, silvery voice promising love if he could break her curse. Theo's quest began with a stolen key, its edges sharp as regret, taken from Grimwald's shop in a moment of reckless courage. He crept into the attic above the shop, where the music box sat on a warped table, surrounded by broken clocks and cobwebs thick as curtains. The air was heavy, the shadows alive, twisting into claws and eyes. As Theo approached the music box, the mirror behind it rippled like water. Out stepped a crow spirit, all bones and tattered feathers, its amber eyes glinting with mischief. "Want to free your ballerina?" it croaked, its voice like gravel in a tin can. "Give me your dearest memory, poet. The locket, perhaps?" Theo's hand clutched the silver keepsake, his mother's voice echoing in his mind. But Liora's face, glowing in the music box, was worth any price. Theo handed over the locket. The crow spirit cackled, vanishing in a puff of smoky feathers, leaving behind a riddle. "The key turns where shadows sing, but beware the cost of a heart's vow." Theo's hands trembled as he inserted the key into the music box. The melody screeched, gears grinding, and a burst of light swallowed the attic. The light faded, and Liora's spirit stood before him, real yet not. Her dress was tattered lace, her eyes brimming with hope and sorrow. "Theo," she whispered, "the curse demands a vow of love, but it will bind you to my fate." Theo didn't hesitate. He'd faced spectral hounds in forgotten crypts, traded his poems to ghostly pawnbrokers, and outwitted Grimwald's traps. For Liora, he'd give more. But Grimwald and Varnholt were closing in. The attic door burst open, Grimwald's cane thumping like a death knell, Varnholt's cold laugh cutting the air. "The box is mine," Varnholt hissed, his cane's rubic glowing like a demon's eye. Theo stood firm, the music box pulsing in his hands. "I love her," he said, his voice steady, "and no curse, no man will take her from me." The vow broke the curse. Liora stepped free, her porcelain form now flesh, her hand warm in Theo's. But the cost was steep. The music box crumbled, and with it, Theo's freedom. He'd bound himself to the town's shadows, a guardian of its secrets, unable to leave. Liora stayed with him, their love a flicker of light in the endless fog. Grimwald fled, his greed undone. Varnholt vanished, his cape trailing like a curse. And so, dear listeners, Theo and Liora remain in that shadowed town, their love a melody that defies the dark. Some say you can still hear it late at night when the moon hangs low and the wind whispers of sacrifice. Until next time, keep your heart open, but beware what you vow.
You were the fire when I was cold, the story my heart never told. Every beat, every breath, every line led me to you.